tackling the topics everyone's talking about online. Share, engage, interact. This is Newsfeed Now.
Welcome into Newsfeed Now on this Tuesday. I am Aaron Nolan. Let's take a look around Twitter and see what is trending this morning. What do you say? Did y'all see the Battle of Winterfell? Is that how you say it? Can you believe what happened? I'm not the guy. I don't even watch Game of Thrones, so I'm not going to give you any secrets. But let's go to the number one trending topic right now is Sonic the Hedgehog. Matt Sewell, have you seen this?
No, I haven't.
Did you play this game? Who played this game? Anybody play this game? Sonic the Hedgehog in a movie. Jim Carrey is in this movie. Nobody's seen it. I'm getting nothing, guys. Come on. All right, here comes. I'm going to show you Jim Carrey before we get out of here. Listen up.
Across the entire Pacific Northwest. This needs someone who can figure out exactly what we're dealing with.
You're not suggesting who I think you're suggesting.
We have no choice. What the?
Are you in charge here?
Yes, I am.
Nope.
I'm wrong.
All right, so Jim Carrey in Sonic the Hedgehog, so is James Marsden. It looks like a funny movie. I didn't even know it was coming out. Our first story this morning is one that is serious. I want to tell you a little bit about myself. In junior high school, I'll never forget a school bus ride. A kid was thumping my ears and wouldn't stop. I was timid back then and just let it happen over and over and over again. I didn't realize till years later I was bullied. Look, I don't tell a lot of people this story, but here's the deal. Today, nearly every kid on every bus at every school has a story like mine. The numbers are simply staggering. In fact, recently in my home state, kids as young as 8th grade took their own lives. Many think bullying was a factor in that suicide. In Louisiana, that state has the highest rate of suicide based on bullying in the nation. But there's hope the tide might turn. Jonah Gilmore has this story.
52% of young people report being bullied, threatened, or put down. In recent years, cyberbullying has become one of the most common forms of the crime and in some cases has been linked to suicide.
It's another tool that bullies use to be able to intentionally hurt their victims. And that's really what it's about. It's about hurting, doing something that can be hurtful. It can be physical, it can be verbal, it can be online.
According to the CDC, youth who report involvement with bullying behavior are more likely to report high levels of suicide-related behavior. Special Project Representative Monica Taylor with the state's Attorney General's office says, because times have changed, parents need to be aware.
The problem is that when we were bullied in school, we went home. And we could escape our bullies a lot of times. And with cyberbullying, it comes into the home with you, and that can be even more dangerous.
This school year, Ascension Parish provided parents with cyberbullying prevention methods. In East Baton Rouge, the school district reminded students that the behavior would not be tolerated, something Kaylee Harris says she agrees with.
If I saw anybody getting bullied, I would be like, hey, please don't do that. That's like mean, because like who knows what they're going through at home.
Bullying is now considered a crime, and the state's Attorney General's office is making it loud and clear. You can be charged and convicted. They're also urging students to say something if they see something.
Tell an adult, whether that's a parent or a teacher, a counselor at school, tell an adult, let them know what's going on.
All right, let's bring in Jonah right now. Jonah, I want to read a stat from you that I found on bullyingstatistics.org. Bullying victims are between 2 to 9 times more likely to consider suicide than non-victims. This is a serious thing that we have all around the South, not only there in Louisiana.
Yes. It's crazy how many kids bully people, you know, and it's become so prevalent in schools, and now with the internet is leading to cyberbullying. And like the state attorney general office says, it now follows you into the home. So some kids can't escape it because they're on social media and their bullies are constantly attacking them through those sources.
Yeah, Jonah, I told a story when I was bullied in junior high school. It's not an easy story for me to tell, but I think what you bring up is pretty good. And if I read your story here, I escaped that by getting off the bus and getting away from the bully. Because of where we are in today's society, so many kids can't do that, and so they're turning to the wrong outlet.
Right, correct. And one of the things that we talked about in my interview with the State Attorney General office is, some things parents can do to help out. Go in your child's room and tell your child, hey, you can't have your phone past 8 o'clock at night, because you never know what your child is doing in their room. You don't know if your child is being bullied through, social media, or your child is the bully. So, just taking that phone away from that child, saying, hey, put it up, it's bedtime. Those things can actually help.
What else did you hear from the Attorney General on things that can help these kiddos?
So the State Attorney General office here in Louisiana have other resources. They go to schools and they talk to students and teachers. They work with the districts to implement kind of things to do that teachers can do to, kind of if they see it with, they implement things, with the school district and give resources to teachers in case they see it happening to kind of put a stop to it. They're also warning, they're very firm in telling people, it's a crime, and if you bully someone, you can be charged with a crime. So they're really enforcing that.
Jonah, thank you so much. Appreciate you taking the time there out of Louisiana. Never an easy subject to talk about. We appreciate you jumping on here for us.
All right, thank you. You're welcome.
Yeah, that was tough. Admitting times that even I was bullied. I tell you what, I wrote that down. Hadn't thought about it in a while, and it was tough for me to remember that time. And I promise you, if you need some empathy, thinking about those kids, it still gets my heart racing right now. Kind of a gut-wrenching situation in my stomach, in the pit of my stomach, remembering that day when that happened. All right, let's move gears. Have you ever done something you instantly regretted? Matt Sewell, I want the camera on you. I want to know what you did that you instantly regretted, and you cannot say, work with me on Newsfeed Now.
Going to see, okay, don't make fun of me. Going to see High School Musical 3 dressed up as a high school graduate.
Do you
Yes, I admitted that on live television.
Do you have a picture of that, Matt?
I think I have a picture.
You have a picture? Okay, we want to show that. One time or another, we've all done something that was not that smart. In Arkansas, during a birthday party, a 10-year-old boy made a mistake he likely thought was going to be a funny one. He was going to be the life of the party. But instead, it turned into a call to local firefighters asking for help getting this kid out of a swing. Susan L. Corey has the story.
Soaring high and trying out tricks.
Do backflips in this one.
Like most 10-year-olds at the playground, Javon sees no limit to fun. But his last trip to Malvern Centennial Park came to a sudden halt when he learned some things you outgrow.
They look a lot bigger from when I was standing up.
The bucket swing kept Javon in a tight grip.
Every time I swung, it got tighter on my knees and my legs.
On both sides?
Mom Brittany Cross sharing cell phone video of firefighters trying to slip him out.
The first thing they did was the dishwashing liquid, the Dawn, and they leathered him up real good and it wouldn't come out anywhere.
But it took a bolt cutter.
I can't walk.
And some more elbow grease.
They laid him down and then they just kind of stuffed him out, like unstuffed him.
To free him.
They tried to hold back their laughter until after everything was done. They were real cool about it.
A sticky situation this family can now laugh through.
Typical Javon, like nothing new.
The playground is noticeably missing a swing.
No more swings to get stuck in. They already cut it down.
But if it gets replaced, Javon has some simple advice.
Good luck trying to get out.
And it was stuck in the swing for about an hour. Susan joins us now. Susan, this family seems to have a pretty good mind. They've got a pretty good sense of humor.
Yeah, they were definitely kind of laughing through this one. Javon did tell me he was a little embarrassed that his mom had shared this or even talking about it, but he said it's definitely a story this family's going to be sharing for a while.
Is Jonah the class clown? Did he do this to get a few laughs?
Swing, he's always fit in the baby swing, the bucket swing, and just wanted to give it another try at this party. But his mom also told me that he's not the adventurous child. He likes to try things out.
All right, the firefighters came to the rescue. They did a fantastic job. It took some time, though, to get this guy out.
It did. He told me he was in there for about an hour, and they tried everything from dishwashing soap to trying to flip him over, slide him out, but eventually they had to cut him down and just kind of slide him out.
All right, so when will the swing be revived? When can kids be swinging in that park once again?
I do not know, but I know Javon said he's happy without it there. So.
Well, I have a feeling, learning enough about Javon, even if there was a swing there, he would try it again, even though he was stuck for an hour.
I asked him if he would ever try it again, and it was a hard never.
Okay,
so,
he gave you a hard pass. Okay.
Yeah.
Susan, thank you. I appreciate you taking the time here on Newsfeed Now. Very quickly, Tim, I actually did some searching on stuck in a swing. I did not expect this. Look at these pictures. Everybody apparently gets stuck in a swing. It's the cool thing to do. I had no clue. Javon was, he was the hip guy getting stuck in the swing. Moving on, developing right now in Kansas, 2 law enforcement officers were shot trying to catch the same guy, and 2 bodies were found at this suspect's home. Rise County Undersheriff Chad Murphy was trying to stop a car driven by David Madden, who had warrants out. Shortly after that, Murphy called for help. He was shot. A short time later, the sheriff went to a home he believed the suspect was at. A gunfight happened at the sheriff, who was also shot. We have learned that suspect is still on the run, and 2 men were found dead inside that home.
It's just awful to hear, especially because those guys care so much about this community. They're at a ton of our football games here at the college, and they just sport and they care about us a ton. So it's just terrible to hear when something like this happens to people like them.
Anything like that happens in Sterling, Kansas. It's a pretty small town and stuff like that, and you usually think that's stuff that's a whole world away from you.
All right, Gwen Beville joins us now from Wichita, Kansas. Gwen, this is not an easy story for you guys to report on. What more can you tell us? What's going on right now?
The authorities are just now giving us the latest information out of Rice County. They just held a press conference, and we are gleaning more details about what we're dealing with here. They do say that the suspect, David Madden, was one of the men they found in that home. They also believe his father is the other deceased person in this case. They say when the undersheriff first stopped Madden there in the tiny town of Sterling, they say that there was actually a woman in that car and a child as well. They do say that he then went to the house, and that is when the sheriff responded with other authorities, and that's when the sheriff was shot. Of course, the undersheriff was shot right there while they were trying to make the traffic stop.
All right, quickly, let's clarify something. This man is not on the run anymore out of Kansas. He was one of those 2 bodies found inside that home.
That is correct, Aaron. You are correct. The gentleman, they say, now deceased, and they do say that he was found. That was his father's residence that they found him at. They do know as well that he was at one point a suspect in a case. He was part of an investigation regarding a missing woman. We're working on that here at KSN in Wichita right now. We hope to bring folks more about that on KSN.com, of course, and on air tonight.
Any idea what happened inside that home? Was it a murder-suicide? Did something else happen?
They do believe that David Madden, the initial suspect that they tried to stop, that also has a very lengthy record with law enforcement, did die of a self-inflicted gunshot wound after he shot his father, who was 65 years old. And that was, like I said, the home was registered to David Madden's father. We also heard from neighbors earlier in the day, Aaron, who said they hadn't seen him in that area in quite some time, and just recently he had started showing back up at his father's house. We also heard from neighbors who said that the relationship there was very troubled.
All right, Gwen, thanks so much. Appreciate you taking the time. I know you guys got to get back on this story. It's a big one. The show Cops made chases part of pop culture. Don't you remember watching Cops? Don't you remember watching OJ running from, well, he was really kind of puttering. He wasn't really fast. But look, it grabs our attention every time a helicopter catches a chase. What will happen? Will the driver get away? 9 times out of 10, I will tell you, maybe 99 times out of 100, they will not get away. But there's quite a bit of danger for everybody involved, not just for the public, but also for the police officer chasing that suspect. In Alabama, a company is hoping to help through technology. Bill Riles has the story.
Look quick or you'll miss it. A cop in pursuit of a vehicle fires a small sticky missile, a sensor that will stick to the car and can be tracked by GPS. Once deployed, officers can pull off of the chase and track a suspect, making an arrest later.
When the technology is used effectively, it slows everything down as far as the events that you normally would think of with a high-speed pursuit.
Trevor Fishbach runs Star Chase, the company that developed the technology.
You drop the adrenaline, you're better able to manage the existing fleet of vehicles that you have.
It's being used now by departments in 21 states, and for good reason. Each year, more than 50,000 people are injured in police chases, including police officers, the suspects being chased, and often innocent bystanders.
On my left side, my shoulder, my arm still getting numb.
Mobile police were chasing suspects in a stolen car when it hit the vehicle Chevelle Campbell and her daughter were in. But too often police chases turn deadly, like this one on Interstate 10 in Baldwin County, April 1st. Father and son Joseph and Kevin Andrews were killed as deputies chased a car that ended up going the wrong direction, crashing into Andrews' car. Each year, on average, 355 people lose their lives in police chases. About a third of those are innocent victims. Statistics show that 91% of pursuits are in response to nonviolent crimes.
Look at it from a risk management standpoint. How do we manage those risks? And the way that we manage those risks is writing good policies and good training.
Tom Gleason is a retired police captain and now works with the group PursuitSafety.org, which works to reduce needless deaths and injuries in police chases. Gleason says one of the keys is for police departments to have a clearly written pursuit policy. Those policies vary among departments. We wanted to know what kind of written pursuit policies departments along the Gulf Coast have. Florida departments responded and appear to have somewhat restricted policies. The Alabama departments we contacted either declined or did not respond. Many of the police chases we've covered in the last 4 months involve Mobile police, who did not respond to a request for their written policy. But Chief Lawrence Batiste has talked about their response in the past.
If we're going to be pursuing, we're going to be taking somebody off the street that has shown the propensity to be violent and to have a total disregard for the public safety.
Bill Riles now joins us from Mobile, Alabama. Bill, interesting stuff. First things first, before I get to the sticky missile you talked about, I want to talk about car chases and police chases in general. Look, cops made this popular. We saw this all the time on that TV show from the helicopter view. It Hollywoodized this. It made it something bigger. This is a very dangerous thing for a lot of people involved.
It is a dangerous thing, and I've had, as we talked to the expert, Tom Gleason there, he says he was even guilty of it early in his career, and that is that an officer gets into that situation where they try to stop someone, and that person doesn't stop, and now it's about their ego, and it's about their, you're not doing this to me, I'm going to get you, buddy, and it goes that way. And I've had other cops tell me that, this is the jive, man, this is the adrenaline gets pumping, and this is what I got into being a cop is all about. So it kind of cuts both ways.
In your area, how much are they weighing the crime these suspects could be guilty of versus, the bystanders out there? And I say that obviously injuring someone is a big deal, but if this is a petty crime versus a murder charge, do they pursue differently?
That's a good question, and my feeling of it, and having reviewed the policies from our police departments in Florida, that they are restrictive policies and they require that this must be some sort of serious crime in order for our officers to pursue. Now, don't get me wrong, they do pursue, but in many cases in Florida. Now, Alabama, they would not release the departments we contacted would not release their written policies, so we had no way to measure whether or not they're restrictive or discretionary or discouraging policies, whatever. I do know that at least in one case where our Pritchard Police Department, an officer tried to stop someone, that person did not stop. Turned out that person was just wanted on warrants, but we don't know how serious those warrants are. That person crashed, took off on foot. The officer got out on foot, gave chase. A second officer came up in the dark, hit them both, killed the officer. So it's dangerous, even in a compacted situation like they were in.
All right, let's talk about that technology very quickly. A sticky missile is how you said it. This seems like, to me, every police station, every sheriff's office, every city, every county, every state officer needs this.
You would think you would want those resources in place, even if you don't have the opportunity to use it, just as an alternative in case you do. But as the Mobile Police Department said to us, $6,000 a car, that's pretty pricey. Now, I talked to the owner of the company. They don't have to put it on every car, just those that, might deemed might end up in a chase. We do know that there are departments, Orlando, Florida Highway Patrol, and as I said in the piece, 21 states, departments in 21 other states are using the technology.
So are these fired out of the car, or is there a gun that the officer like hangs out the window to shoot?
You know, they have just released new technology that they're working on. It's a handheld type technology. Mm-hmm. The stuff that we showed you in the piece there is mounted on the very front of the car. Officer presses a button inside the car, just like James Bond.
Yeah.
There it is.
I was thinking more like Batman. Bruce Wayne type of stuff.
Batman, yeah, it all works.
Speaking of Bruce Wayne, does anybody think that Bill may have been Bruce Wayne in a previous life? You kind of got that look. Can you say I'm Batman just once?
I'm Batman.
There he is! Bill Rouse, the Batman of Newsfeed Now. Bill, thanks so much. Appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah.
I never knew we were going to interview Batman. That's awesome. I didn't get it with Bruce Wayne, though. Maybe Bruce can loan me a few dollars. Thank you guys for joining us for Newsfeed Now. We're going to take a 23.5-hour break. See you right back here at 11 o'clock on Wednesday.